Man, we back with another one, man. House of Underdog Talk, House of Underdog Pie, man. We gonna dive straight in. We ain't gonna stick our toes in the water to see if it's cold. Man, we still on that NBA playoff talk, man. Golden State defeated Houston Rockets in Game 7, man. That experience showed. That championship pedigree showed, and it showed for the Rockets, too, with Van Vliet, because he does have a championship, and you can tell, he rose to the occasion, but his team, you could just tell the inexperience, Golden State, I'm not going to say they're role players, but a role player showed up bigger than any role player in this game for both teams out of all the role players. Buddy Hield, Buddy Love, Buddy Buckets, you know what I mean? I think he had 33. I think he had 8. I think he had 9 threes. I could be wrong, but I think it was 9. Maybe 8. It was somewhere in that boat. So I think that was huge. Not only on the offensive end, though, for Buddy, bro. He was, I ain't gonna lie, that's the best that Game 7 from Buddy was the best I've ever seen Buddy play defense. Whether that was, guarding Van Vliet, guarding Jay Green, whether that was, I even saw him on Sangoon in the mid-post free throw area. So Buddy had a good all-around game, on both sides of the basketball. Curry had a slow start, and I was watching the game. I'm like, yo, Golden State up and Curry ain't even scored yet. Okay, Golden State up and he going into halftime with 3 points. Golden State gonna win this game because he's gonna hit some shots, and that's what he did. He hit some big buckets. He hit some shots. In the third and fourth quarter, he didn't let that first half, dictate his confidence at all. I thought it was, major. I mean, it's Curry, but I thought it was major. So the kids and the youth who really watching the game and really love the game, they'll understand, like, don't let your last shot dictate your confidence. Don't let 4 straight misses dictate or drop your confidence, So Curry did a great job at that. Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy a real thing, bro. And that's not always scoring. Jimmy is a great intangibles player. He's a smart, high IQ player on that. I'm not going to lie. I knew he was that, but I didn't know he was, like, at that level. Like, he's always willing to make the right read, make the right pass, man. Capable of a triple-double any night. Draymond had a huge game, came out aggressive, hitting big shots, was decisive. So, anytime I feel like if you can get Draymond in double digits, Golden State got a big chance of winning to me, because that's showing me that he's being aggressive on both ends, because Draymond is going to be Draymond on defense. But if he can be aggressive on offense, too, he's a double-double type of guy, flirt with triple-doubles type of guy. So I think that was huge, man. But, switching to Houston real quick, I think they a lot of these guys, for them, it was their first rodeo in the playoffs, first time in the playoffs. Guy like Jay Green, first time, But to me, he only had one good game, and that was Game 2, because he's one of those players. Like, his scoring has to be on to, determine if he's in the game in the clutch, depending on what team he's on, right? He's only been on Houston his whole career, but Houston is a deep team. So if Jay Green's shot's not falling, it's a possibility we won't see him in the game in the clutch. So he's one of those players. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best first playoff experience for him. But I'm not gonna lie, Jay Green upside is crazy. This is House of Underdog talk, man. We root for guys like that to be able to bounce back, off of, not so good first round, first time in the playoffs. I expect him to bounce back and come back better, come back stronger, come back smarter. You know what I mean? Because we got to think about it. Houston ain't been to the playoffs in a minute. So, like Jay Green, this is his first playoff time, but he's been with Houston his career. I think he's probably like 4 or 5 years in the league, bro. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those years it wasn't no intent of winning. It wasn't no purpose of winning. They were still in rebuild mode. If you know, like, the business of sports and stuff, like basketball rebuilding is tanking, you know what I mean, for the upcoming player in the draft. So this was the first, to me, last year they flirted with it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Last year they definitely flirted with, trying to make the playoffs a little bit, being in that play-in situation. But this year was their first real year of, we're locking in on the playoffs. We think we can, let's see where we at in these playoffs, right? You know what I'm saying? They got a great coaching staff, championship pedigree. I be pronouncing his name wrong. Emeka, I think, but respect for sure. Came from Boston, like I said. I don't want to say he laid the blueprint for this Boston team right now, but I feel like he kind of laid the blueprint before he got fired. And it wasn't nothing basketball related. Let's get that, you know what I mean? Hell of a coach, came from under Pop system, so, definitely gems there. So I think this is like first, fully locked in year. Like, all right, we locking in, right? And it just showed what they needed. They need a person, because Van Vliet was that guy. Van Vliet was that guy this series. He was that guy. The ball is in his hands. He's the driver. He's the quarterback. He was the quarterback. You know what I mean? And I'm fine with that, right? He was, Golden State, I think that I don't want to say that, but they was trying to see was, okay, we're going to make Van Vliet be a consistent scorer. And he was that, I know he didn't start off the series that well, but it was solid. And he damn sure ended that bitch on a consistent level. Clearly, clear as day see, like, he's been there before. He's been in this playoff. The cool, calm, and collected manner he had about himself this whole playoffs. Game 7, he even had a moment at Sangoon, like, running down the court, like, telling them basically, like, wake up, like I'm here, lock in, like, you know what I mean? That's what you need out of your best player, out of your leader, honestly. We're going to call him, definitely was their leader this whole year, these past 2 years since they brought him in on that big contract. Man, we fuck with Freddie V, man. Shout out Freddie V. I definitely expect Houston to re-sign him going into this offseason. But we know what they need. They need a scorer for sure. They need that number one guy, that scorer. And we all know who's on the market this offseason. Kevin Durant. But the thing is, Phoenix doesn't need a Jay Green because they have a Devin Booker and they have a Bradley Beal. So I think a third team trade will be involved in this. And I haven't broke this down yet. I be hinting. I'm definitely going to come with something on a later vid on maybe possibly a 3-team trade I see. But Houston is definitely going after Kevin Durant. I think that's their main focal point this offseason. Because they got a lot of pieces, a lot of young pieces, bro. And I think Kevin Durant would fit if you can, ain't no if. You can bring back Freddie V. Freddie V already said he wants to be back. You keep Sangoon, you keep Thompson. You really building this bitch around Thompson and Sangoon. Jay Green is going to be a great offensive talent. It's just, it's tough because them playoffs dictate a lot. Let's see. I think Houston move on from him, though, this offseason. I think they definitely trade him. But Houston, if you're Houston, your main focal point has to be Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Getting KD in a trade, long as you can keep Thompson and Sangoon. You know what I mean? I think you get Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? If you got to give up Torrey Eason, Cam Whitmore, and Jay Green, like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a third team involved in that trade, though. But, yeah. I think they get KD. Moving on with Golden State, though. Round 2. Whew. You talking about, man, playoff basketball. Golden State versus Minnesota. Man, listen. It's going to be a hell of a series, bro. Minnesota matches up with anybody, I'm going to be honest. Golden State is a small ball team. Lakers were a small ball team too, but Golden State takes pride in defense though. Lakers, man, they don't take no pride in. This year's Lakers didn't take too much pride in defense. So it's two different type of small ball personnels in a way. Two different type of small ball personality teams in a way. I think this small ball is fine with going small. Draymond might be height small, but heart hella big. He take, like I said, he's one of the ones who take pride on defense. You know what I mean? Was a defensive player of the year candidate for a reason. You got Jimmy. But Golden State, the thing about them, they're flexible. You know what I mean? They can run a couple starting lineups at you. So I think this is gonna be an interesting series, bro. I think Golden State should kind of sort of follow one thing JJ did do good in their first round, I think, was making Ant be a passer, showing him different bodies, showing him, not letting him see a clear one-on-one, going in like a man's zone with him, and making him be a passer, bro. Making him be a passer. It's the same little breakdown I said what Lakers would do. But the reason why I say that is because I think because they take more pride on defense, their extra runouts trying to close out on the basketball to be more better than the Lakers was. You know what I mean? Ant can make the read in the pass, but it won't be no lollygagging for that help man getting to that shooter. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a tougher shot, and there'll be more discipline on stand down and things like that. So I think they kind of follow that, right? I think Minnesota's gonna be physical, but Golden State just got out of a physical ass series with Houston. I think defensively, Houston gave them a good preparation of just going further in this playoff run this year for Golden State. So, yes, Minnesota does apply pressure. They can apply pressure 94 feet sometimes. They got length with McDaniels. They got weapons defensively. They got dogs, McDaniels, Anthony, Kale, Julius can play D on the perimeter. Bro, you got weapons. DiVincenzo. I do think Minnesota depth is better, but Golden State has depth. It's going to be interesting, bro. I don't know, because Rudy did good in that first round series against that small ball lineup, but I don't know how good he will be this series on the defensive end, because Lakers will sometimes run small ball and have Vandal in the dunking spot. Golden State can run small ball and have the space, have like a 5 out. You know what I mean? More spacing for that ball handler. So if Rudy wasn't helped, man, he would have to get back to a shooter. Draymond can shoot. It's just, I want to see how Rudy can hold up against Golden State small ball. I'm going to give you an X factor for both teams. Golden State, I think the X factor will be Podziemski. Not just his scoring ability, but like his overall, he's an all-around player, so he's able to, score the ball, but also rebound, but also get offensive rebounds. He's also able to, you can run the ball through him. So, not through him, but like him setting it up, getting Jimmy the ball, getting Curry the ball. But Golden State has an offense where he doesn't necessarily have to be the main one. Anybody down there can do that shit in that free-flowing offense that they got. But Podziemski's going to have a big series, being able to defend and not be a liability. And for Minnesota, I think it's Julius Randle. How can he? Because if Golden State, if Rudy's not available and Minnesota has to go small ball at Julius at the 5, can he? Because he had a good ass, solid ass, good series versus the Lakers. Can he continue that going into this round? Because I think McDaniels is gonna play good defensively. I think, all the other role players are gonna be solid. Chenzo gonna be solid, having some extra juice because he played with Golden State. I think Nikel's gonna be solid. So it's about their second best player being able to put up good numbers against a defensive team that takes more pride. And for Minnesota, I think also, not Minnesota, Golden State. Do you play Kuminga more? Hell yeah. Are you going to play him? I don't know, right? I don't know. I think this would have been a good series for Kuminga, being able to match up with any one of these guys, being able to put him on a Randall, bro. That shit politic and business side up that way, so I don't even want to talk about the insights on that Kuminga shit, bro. Because he needs to be playing. You can't fucking tell me he shouldn't. Game 3 against Houston, he started, they got the win. Tonight, Game 7, he played, they got the win. So, that shit. And it ain't like he just playing crazy amount of minutes, though, either. So, but that shit just be what it is, you know what I'm saying? Can Golden State, can their depth, show up against a young Minnesota team that's hungry? You know what I mean? They got weapons that's going to throw different looks at you. How can Golden State hold up against Rudy Gobert? You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be an interesting series if I think Curry's going to have a good scoring assist ratio this series. I think Jimmy is going to have more of a scoring series for him. And Draymond has to look to be ready to shoot that bitch. No matter if you miss 0 for 4, you got to keep shooting. Minnesota Minnesota has to keep doing what they did against LA. And has to make the right read. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna let him see clear one-on-ones. And their role players are gonna have to show up like they did that first round. So these guys will continue to stay on that, build out that, stay consistent of that, and make it go 7, bro. I can see Minnesota winning though. I can see Golden State winning. Superstars gonna have to show up, but this is a good role player series. I'm not gonna lie. Superstars ain't really gonna win this series. It's gonna be the role players. And when I say role players, bro, it's just a saying, bro, because these role players are great, bro. What they do, they're stars at their role. So it's never no disrespect to these role players. It's actually, y'all get a lot of credit on this type of talk. You know what I mean? Because, hey, just saying, without y'all, but we ain't gonna do all that. You know what I'm saying? So I think whatever team role players produce more is gonna win this series, man. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. But we back with another one. You know what I mean? Stay tuned for another one. House of Underdog Talk. House of Underdog Pie, man. We stay live.